Okay, we're talking about breaking 90, and quite frankly, you could take that driver, put it in your closet, and still probably break 90. But I know you want to hit it, so we're going to work on hitting the driver. So there's a few things we'll show you in the video that are specific to hitting the driver off the tee. We're going to cover those things to help you get more comfortable with the driver, to give you confidence in the driver, to help you have more fun hitting the fairway, and of course, to help you break 90. Okay, here we go, the driver. Now, this is probably the part of the game that most people feel they just can't figure out. It's frustrating for people, and the reason it's frustrating is because you start every hole from the tee, every hole is a blank slate, right? And if you get up there and don't hit a great drive or hit a horrible drive, well, the hole is lost, and then you're in the woods or you're out of bounds and you're playing shots that you've never practiced before. It's hard to play the game if you're wild off the tee. And so I do have to just put this out there a little bit. You're going to hit the fairway more often, or you should hit the fairway more often using a shorter club, a more lofty club. Fairway wood, hybrids, even irons. But we're talking about hitting the driver, so here we go. We're going to work on this. So there are a couple things that are very, very specific to the driver. The first thing is the tee height. This is the only club in the bag that is designed to be hit from a tee. Every other golf club is designed to be hit from the turf. So we're going to always use a tee with this club. We're going to tee the ball up. I'm going to get up nice and close here. We're going to tee the ball up so that this top scoring line here, that top scoring line is going to meet up with about the middle of the ball. Hopefully I'm placing that there. They're right, okay? So half the ball is going to be above the top scoring line. We want to make contact in the top half of the face on the driver here. Okay, so that's number one. That's where we want to make contact, so we're going to tee the ball up a little bit. That's going to lead us into a little dilemma as to why people don't like to tee the driver up the way they should. And the reason is that when they tee the ball up high, let me grab that in my pocket again here. When they tee the ball up really high, well, now it is possible to get that driver, if you do things the wrong way, coming down at a steep angle and catching the ball right about like that. It's always on the toe just about, and you see people get that mark right there. They get that sky mark, okay? So that is a real problem. It's a golf swing problem. But just think about what happens to people is they want to avoid the sky mark. They start teeing the ball lower and lower, and then they get into a situation, though, where it's very difficult to hit the club properly. And the proper way to hit the driver is to be able to hit slightly up on the ball. If you tee the ball really low, it's tough to hit up on it because you can catch the ground on the way, okay? So that whole thing with that sky mark that happens, from the beginning, a lot of newer golfers will do it. They start teeing the ball low, and then it starts to incentivize more of that downward strike, okay? So one, we're going to tee it up high. The next thing we're going to talk about is just one little thing you can do to help you be able to alleviate some of those sky marks. Okay, so let's make sure we can alleviate that sky mark. It's also going to help your ball flight, by the way, so we may as well cover that. So it's a path issue, all right? So when we see that sky mark with that descending club head, what happens is the golfer tends to get their hands moving out towards the ball. First move is back this way. The club swings from outside the target line in, and it also descends quite a bit down. All right, so we want to, from the top of our backswing, we want to unwind our body. And see how when I start my backswing with my body unwinding, see my hands, they stay in next to my body. I don't get this sort of a thing. Okay, so we're going to start with our body. A great swing thought for that is to keep our back turned to the target longer. So as I turn back here, my back is to the target. I'm going to keep my back turned to the target as I start my downswing. The club comes from the inside of the target line out towards the ball, and then it will ascend into the ball. The reason the club will ascend into the ball is because our ball position is more forward. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cover ball position specifically on things we should do to help us get the ball in the right place, and we'll talk about why that's going to be so helpful. Ball position. This should make some sense. If my ball is positioned very much forward in my stance, this is probably too far forward, but if my ball is positioned very much forward in my stance, this is just an illustration point. As I come through and I swing the club, my club is traveling downward right now. There will be a point where it reaches the low point of the swing, and then it's going to come up. And the farther forward in my stance the ball is positioned, the more I'm going to catch the ball in the upswing. Now, if I have this positioned way too far forward and I make a good golf swing, I'm going to probably catch the ball, if I catch it at all, way on the top, and I'm going to hit a top shot. If I play the ball too far back in my stance and I make a good golf swing, weight moves forward and everything, I'm going to catch the ball as the club is traveling out to the right too much. I'm going to get pushes and I'm going to get hooks. So we like to find a good place here. And with the driver, the rule of thumb is this. We want to have the ball positioned right about, and I'm funny, I'm wearing a shirt without a logo, right about where the logo on your shirt would be. So think about where the ball is relative to your chest for sure. When you look down at your feet, the ball is going to be positioned somewhere from the heel in towards the instep of your front foot. Okay? Somewhere in that area. Some things you should do in practice. So I'm standing here right here and I'm used to doing this. You will do things by habit. So if you always set up with the ball position too far back in your stance, it's going to start to feel comfortable to you. And then when you say move it forward, the teeniest bit forward is going to seem too far forward. So we want to use some sort of a device to ensure that we've got good ball position. And that device is in your golf bag. It's just another golf club. So I'm grabbing an iron out of the golf bag here. I'm going to place this down right, I'll get it a little bit closer. It's perpendicular to my target line. Okay, and it's right on my ball position. So with the driver, this gives me a good feel of how far forward that is. So I can see, boy, that shaft is way, way far forward for me. I'm going to move my whole body a little bit this way. Okay, and now that's about where I want that ball position to be with my driver. Okay, so how do you know if you're getting this right? If in general you're hooking, most people that's not their problem, but if in general you're hooking, what's happening is the ball may be positioned too far back in your stance and you're catching the ball too much from the inside of the ball, and it's going to start out to the right for right-handed golfer and be a push or a hook. If you're slicing, the ball may be too far forward in your stance. You catch the ball as the club is, yes, going up, but it's also going too much to the left still. You're going to hit balls for a right-handed golfer that start left a little bit and then they peel off to the right. Okay? So this ball position it's a little, and the stuff we're talking about as far as grip goes and ball position and all these things, they can be little fine-tuning mechanisms. So when you watch a tour player, you're not going to see every single tour player on the PGA Tour or the LPGA Tour. They're not going to have the exact same grit. They're not going to have the exact same ball position. They're not going to have all these things exactly the same because there can be little fine-tuning elements and some slight preferences. But in general, big picture here, we're looking to break 90. We want that ball position right about on the logo of our shirt.